Boys and girls, we have been learning about comprehension strategies this week. Who can name a strategy that we've already learned?
I can. Summarization.
Yes, we did talk about summarization. Good job. Today, we will be learning how to make predictions while reading a book. Predictions are when a reader makes guesses about what will happen throughout a story. You can make predictions by using the pictures, the title, and what you already know to make guesses about the book. Good readers make predictions before, during, and after reading. We will keep track of our predictions by following this graphic organizer. I will write my predictions that I got from the book, clues I used to make my predictions, and what really happened after I made my prediction. Today, we will be reading This Moose Belongs to Me by Oliver Jeffers. Notice there's only one name on the book because Oliver Jeffers is both the author and the illustrator. Remember, the author is the one that writes the words and the illustrator draws the pictures. From looking at this cover page, I predict that this little boy has a pet moose because the title says this moose belongs to me and they're right next to each other. So first prediction, boy has pet moose. My clue, the title, and picture. The moose belongs to me. Wilfred owned a moose. He did have a pet moose. Pet moose. He hadn't always owned a moose. The moose came to him a while ago, and he just knew that it was meant to be his. He thought he would call him Marcel. He's even tying a little name tag around his antler. He began following Marcel, explaining the rules of how to be a good pet. Much of the time, it seemed as though the moose wasn't listening, but Wilfred knew he was. Mostly because he followed rule number 4 very well, not making too much noise while Wilfred played his record collection. Sometimes the moose wasn't a very good pet. He generally ignored rule number 7, going to whichever way Wilfred wanted to go. The moose had a very good sense of direction, and Wilfred did not. And because the moose was particularly poor on Rule 7, subsection B, maintaining a certain proximity to home, Wilfred quickly learned to bring some string along on their outings so he can find his way back again. Sometimes the moose was an excellent pet. He had no trouble with rule number 11, providing shelter from the rain. Or rule number 16, knocking down things that are out of Wilfred's reach. Good work! One day, as Wilfred discussed their plans for the coming year on a particularly long walk, he made a terrible discovery. I think Wilfred is going to see something he doesn't like. So Wilfred sees something he doesn't like. The clue is in the sentence. He made a terrible discovery. Terrible discovery. Someone else thought she owned the moose. Rodrigo, you're back! Wilfred saw that someone else owned the moose. You can see that he's upset by the expression on his face. Wilfred was dumbstruck. This moose was Marcel, not Rodrigo. The old lady was mistaken, and Wilfred thought it was only proper that he correct her. "This moose belongs to me," he explained. And to prove it, he called Marcel heel. I don't think Marcel is going to listen to Wilfred. Marcel doesn't listen. My clue that I used is based off of the picture. Marcel looks at Wilfred and then goes back to eating the apple. But the moose did not respond. He seemed more interested in the old lady. "Good, Rodrigo." What really happened? Marcel didn't respond. Embarrassed and enraged, Wilfred rushed off for home. But in his haste and miles from anywhere, he tripped over a string and got tangled up. I predict that Wilfred's going to get stuck. Wilfred gets stuck. My clue is that the rope is tangled all around Wilfred and he's falling down a hill. Tangled in rope. And there he lay. As you can see, Wilfred did get stuck because it's already nighttime and he's all alone. Wilfred was stuck. Wilfred was beginning to get a little bit worried. It was getting late and the monsters would be out soon. I think Marcel's going to show up because he's a really good pet and a really good moose. Marcel shows up. My clue is he's a good pet and moose. He had just rolled out the last of his options when along came the moose. Marcel did show up. Marcel showed up. And performed Rule 70 brilliantly, rescuing your owner from perilous situations. Boys and girls, perilous means that it's full of danger or risk, and this is because he was lost in the woods by himself. All was forgiven, and perhaps Wilfred admitted he never really owned the moose anyways. You could see he broke off his name tag. With that in mind, he and the moose reached a compromise. The moose would agree to all of Wilfred's rules, whenever it suited him. I predict that Marcel is going to wander off to a new owner because he's walking away from Wilfred, and Wilfred looks very upset. My prediction, Marcel wanders to new owner. And my clue, he's walking away from Wilfred. Walks away from Wilfred. Dominique, you're back! And you brought an apple. As you can see, Marcel does have a third owner. So Marcel another owner. The end. Boys and girls, as you learned today, good readers make predictions by looking at the pictures, the words, and using their background knowledge to make any guesses that they can.